So, today we're back discussing Battalion 1944. That's the upcoming World War II shooter being developed by Bulkhead Interactive. I've made a few videos on this game already, covering all of the news and updates that the developers release, and you guys always ask me to make more videos on it. But that gets somewhat stunted when the developers hold close to their chests all of that information. The guys at Bulkhead are taking a rather cautious route with information on Battalion, making sure to only really release information that they are confident will be backed up by features in the game. And I think that's a very honourable route for them to take. They sacrifice a bit of coverage for their game from channels like my own, who are interested in what's going on with their game, and news outlets who might report on their updates, all in the name of making sure the product that they are making and advertised in their Kickstarter campaign will be that product. No overstating claims, no outlandish comments, just simply proper information. And today they've come out with their biggest news drop yet to give us a good insight into what the team are working on. The first thing that's addressed in this news handout is when we're likely to get our hands on Battalion 1944. Now, the developers in the past have stated that nothing would be publicly released until an alpha stage around May 2017, and that date holds true. But we do have a little bit more info about how that alpha is going to work. Now, the team are planning on hosting alpha playtest weekends, times where players can get into some servers, test out the game in a very early stage, just get their hands on it and help give feedback to the developers. During the week, the plan is then for those developers to act on that feedback, implement fixes for bugs, or even push out new features for us to test in the next weekend, and then the same process will occur. That's all on track for May 2017, and will be an ongoing process week by week, testing out different maps, different weapon mechanics, game modes, until the developers are happy with the feedback that they're getting. Then, the game will roll into a beta test stage. This beta stage is being pitched to arrive around July 2017, but that is an estimated date, and the alpha is a week-by-week process, so that will go on as long as the developers see fit. The difference between the alpha and the beta is the content that's being tested and worked on. The beta will be all about persistence models, matchmaking, competitive play, XP progression systems, and unlocks. The alpha will be all about nailing down a good gameplay experience, one that people enjoy, and then the beta will be about backing that up with a robust progression system to keep players coming back and playing the game. Now, you might notice this lack of progression in another World War shooter at the moment, Battlefield 1, and that's currently causing a little bit of a stir among the community. It's nice to see that the developers at Bulkhead acknowledge that people want a good, deep progression system to incentivize them to come back and play the game. Beyond the beta, there will be a Steam Early Access phase, where there will be a first season of competitive play live as well, and that's expected to launch around August 2017, with the tag that it could last for about 3 to 4 months. As for a console early access and the launch of those versions, talks are still going on, so no date has been publicly released right now. Official launch of the game is still yet to be announced, no date has been settled on, and considering we're still a very long way from the title even reaching alpha stage, I think it's fair enough that nothing has really been set in place yet. For that official launch though, the developers have stated that the game will be a fully fledged product and that extra content will come after, such as patches, free DLC, expansions and seasonal updates. The devs have also hinted at what is currently an experimental game mode being added after the launch, at a time when they can collect feedback without having all the other development tasks in their way. So it really does sound like plans for the future are already being penciled in. Now, moving on from that date timeline, let's talk about some of the proper features of the game. We've got movement, character customization, ranking systems, and weapon crates to cover, so let's get started. Okay, the movement system. The game is being designed with the goal of reaching a level of movement seen in Call of Duty 4 Pro Mod, Call of Duty 2, and Counter-Strike. So a mix of all of that will create a really fast, fluid, smooth system. And with the aim that Battalion will also be a competitive game, the developers are working on ways of including some of those trick shot maneuvers, where skilled players are able to string together button presses to outmove an opponent, basically. That sounds like a pretty cool system, and if they're going to go that far, I think we can be fairly confident of a solid base movement system. Now, Call of Duty is built on a completely different engine than what Battalion is being built on, so I wonder if they're going to be able to replicate that kind of movement system very effectively. At the moment, we don't have any evidence of what they're really doing, so we can just sort of hope for the best, I guess. That higher level movement system will be in place for players who want to utilise it, but the standard movement set will be there for normal play as well. Next up is the character customization and the war-torn system, as it's being called. We've been given a sneak peek at some of the war paints that can be added to the soldiers' faces as part of the progression system. So here, we can see the Pathfinder's paint being added to the face of a Hispanic male. Now, this is just one of the many cosmetic customization features that will be coming to Battalion, and the simple on-off nature of it hopefully means it will be really easy to make our soldiers look and feel unique in the game. Now, as an extension to that, the developers have restructured the pricing model of Battalion 1944 due to the response from the community that the price for the game was too high. To offset this lowering of the game's price, a weapon crate system is now in development and will function very similarly to a lot of other FPS games out there. According to the devs, every time you rank up in the ranking system, you'll be granted a crate to open in the game menu, and between 2 and 4 visual customization items will be given to you. All of these customizations will be fully cosmetic and won't affect the gameplay in any way. Here's a quick list of what you can expect from these crates. Melee weapons, helmets and headgear, equipment loadouts, weapon and metal variants, weapon engravings, profile poses, victory poses, war cries, team emblems, and player icons. Now, as with most other games with a weapon crate system, these crates in Battalion will be available to purchase for real money, but they will be granted to you each level that you rank up in the game free of charge, and all of the items in the crates will be unlockable via the game progression as well, without you having to pay for them. Just like with most other games, you're simply paying money to unlock customizations early. And the reason the developers have decided to do this, first of all, they've dropped the price of their game, so they're not going to earn as much money from you buying it, and secondly, they're going to utilize the money from people buying weapon crates to develop expansions for Battalion 1944. If you followed the Kickstarter campaign, we fell just short of the British and Russian forces being included in the base game. So it sounds like if you buy these crates, then you're going to be contributing towards the development of those expansions and any other content that comes for Battalion 1944. This is not a method that everyone will like. You don't have to buy the crates if you don't want to, but the game is being made by a business to make money and to make a cool game, but they can't continue to make the game without making money, because then they can't pay the people that work for the development studio. So I can understand why they do it. It's not going to make everyone happy, but it's kind of a trade-off that every other game is doing anyway. And very quickly, the ranking system is now in full development. It's called Battle Rank, but the developers aren't letting on any details just yet. They don't want the idea to be seen by other competing studios and simply ripped off. That's something that happens a lot in indie game development. At a high level, though, it'll be able to track multiple different statistics, not only what standard players would expect, but what pro-level players want to know as well. Most of the developers at Bulkhead are former competitive FPS players, and therefore they're creating a ranking system that they want, or what they wanted, for games they used to play, but now they're putting it into their own game. So, of all of that information, the movement system and the character customization is what gets me excited the most about Battalion 1944. Being able to express yourself in the form of character customization sounds great, and with all of those items being tied into a nice ranking progression system to keep people playing, and a nice fluid movement system as well, is really what an FPS game needs. Let me know what you think down below. I'm sure you've got plenty of opinions, and while you're down there, drop me a like as well. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.